So let me ask you a really serious question right out of the gate. Do you actually truly know who legally owns your property? Right now, deed fraud is becoming a massive national concern. Making informed real estate decisions can literally mean the difference between securing a rock solid investment and walking into an absolute legal nightmare. Because of that, understanding exactly what is sitting in your public record is absolutely essential. Whether you're a first time homebuyer trying to avoid hidden pitfalls, a seasoned investor hunting for distressed properties, or honestly, just a homeowner who wants to verify your own biggest asset, you really need to know how to navigate this system. Okay, so let's dive into this explainer on exactly how to navigate the Wake County Register of Deeds system. Today, we're going to demystify this massive, centuries old digital infrastructure that tracks billions of dollars in local real estate. By the end of our time together, you are going to be completely empowered to conduct your own title searches, verify ownership, and protect your most valuable investments. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. Why property deeds matter. 2. Understanding the different types of deeds. 3. Preparing for your search. 4. Navigating the Real Property Index. 5. Overcoming common search challenges. And 6. Pro tips and disclaimers. Section 1. Why property deeds matter. Protecting your real estate investment. Let's start with exactly why this information is so absolutely critical for everyday owners and investors alike. The Register of Deeds Office, which is currently under the leadership of Tammy L. Bruner, acts as the statutory custodian of all real estate transactions. This isn't just some dusty archive, right? It is the literal legal foundation of the local economy. Now, the really crucial point here is that North Carolina operates as a race notice state. What that means is the timing of when a document is recorded is absolutely paramount for legal ownership. Put simply, whoever races down to the Register of Deeds and records their deed first typically holds the legal high ground against any competing claims. Because of this legal framework, making sure your property documents are accurately recorded and verifying that no one else has somehow filed a claim against your land is the ultimate way to protect your property rights. Section 2. Understanding types of deeds. What are you looking for? Before we jump straight into the search databases, we need to build a solid foundation on what exactly we are searching for in the first place. When people talk about deeds, they kind of often think it just means a basic receipt for buying a house. But it is way more complex than that. A deed is a binding legal instrument defining your exact property rights. It's a written declaration of facts that confirms the transfer of the land and outlines the specific obligations tied to it. But here's the kicker. Not all deeds offer you the same level of security. When you're looking at your records, you absolutely must know the difference between the main types of deeds. First, you have the general warranty deed. This is the gold standard of real estate transactions. With this document, the seller is actively guaranteeing they hold a clear title, fully protecting the buyer against any future claims from past owners. On the flip side, we have the quitclaim deed. This one offers literally no guarantees. The seller is essentially just saying, hey, whatever interest I might have in this property, I'm transferring it to you, but they are definitely not promising they actually own it free and clear. Quitclaims are perfectly fine for things like transferring property between family members or maybe clearing that minor historical issues, but they offer vastly different levels of protection than a warranty deed. Section 3. Preparing for your search, the treasure map. Let's see how this all translates into the practical steps of how to actually begin your investigation. You might think you can just hop onto the county website, type in your home address, and boom, see your deed. Surprisingly, it doesn't really work that way. You have to treat this process like a treasure map. Step 1. You must first access the Wake County Geographic Information Systems, or the GIS portal, or the tax assessor's database. This is where you actually can search by a physical street address. Step 2. Once you pull up the property's tax card on the GIS site, you need to look for the legal book and page numbers. Every single recorded document is assigned a specific book and page number when it's filed. Then, Step 3, armed with those specific coordinates, you head over to the Register of Deeds Consolidated Real Property Index to pull the actual legal document. Section 4. Navigating the Real Property Index, the treasure chest. Once you have your book and page coordinates in hand, you are ready to open the treasure chest. Now, this is known as the Consolidated Real Property Index, often just abbreviated as the CRPI. It's the single massive digital ledger of all real property instruments in the county, but it is vital to know exactly where different property documents actually live. A super common mistake beginners make is assuming the Register of Deeds holds everything. Well, they don't. Property deeds, mortgages, which by the way are called deeds of trust in North Carolina, and plat maps are located at the Register of Deeds in Suite 1700 of the Justice Center. However, other vital records are housed entirely elsewhere. If you're researching civil liens, mechanics liens, or foreclosures, you actually need to go to the Clerk of Superior Court over at the Wake County Courthouse on the 11th or 12th floor. And if you're looking for property tax histories, you need the Wake County Revenue Department. Knowing which government agency holds which piece of the puzzle is really half the battle here. Let's just take a second to appreciate the sheer historical depth of the public records you are accessing. The Wake County system isn't just recent home sales, it is a massive historical archive. The earliest digitized property records available in the CRPI date all the way back to 1785. You can search plat maps showing old lot lines and subdivisions back to 1885 using a Book of Maps or BM prefix. They even have the historic Torrens Law Registry documents from 1914 all the way to 1976. And amazingly, Wake County was actually a pioneer in digital transparency, providing internet access to all this index data starting back in 1999. All of this history is available for free, literally right from your computer keyboard. Section 5. Overcoming common search challenges, beating the indexing rules. Navigating these massive government databases can definitely be a bit tricky. If you are doing a direct name search rather than a book and page search, you might occasionally hit a wall. Let's uncover some highly specific North Carolina indexing rules you need to understand to beat the system. If you're searching for a specific name and coming up empty, it's probably because of the state's minimum standards for indexing. For instance, if a seller has a hyphenated surname like Smith-Simpson, the electronic system actually creates multiple records. It'll index them under Smith, under Simpson, and under Smith-Simpson. Also, all punctuation and symbols like an ampersand or an @ symbol are completely ignored by the search routine. If you're looking up a business, words like the, a, or an at the very beginning of the name are just dropped entirely. And interestingly enough, professional titles like CPA, DDS, or MD are explicitly excluded from the Human Name Index. Knowing these little quirks allows you to broaden your search terms and find documents that a novice would probably miss entirely. So what exactly happens if your diligent sleuthing uncovers a typo or factual error in your recorded deed? Well, because these are highly binding legal instruments that affect property rights, you can't just call up the county and ask them to erase it or use some digital whiteout. The original record has to remain intact. Instead, you must formally record a corrective deed or an affidavit of correction that specifically references the original book and page number of the flawed document, clearly stating the correction. Because this directly impacts your title, this is a very serious scenario where you absolutely want to consult with a qualified real estate attorney. Section 6. Pro tips and disclaimers. Wrapping up your search. As we start wrapping up our explainer today, let's cover some advanced pro tips to make your property research even more effective. Here are a few actionable insights for you. First, Wake County utilizes e-recording. This means law firms and banks submit their documents electronically, which allows for near real-time updates in the registry, ensuring there are no hidden gaps in ownership timelines. Second, if you are checking the history of your own home, always look for a recorded certificate of satisfaction. This is the document that actually proves an old mortgage or deed of trust has been legally paid off and the lien is released. Finally, if you ever need to visit in person to request certified physical copies or use their public terminals, they are located at the Wake County Justice Center on South Salisbury Street, and their operating hours were actually just permanently extended to 5 p.m. to better align with digital filing deadlines. While this explainer empowers you to research and understand your property records, we absolutely must end with a critical, evergreen disclaimer directly from the county itself. The Register of Deeds is a repository. They enforce formatting and recording standards, sure, but they explicitly state, the Register of Deeds is not responsible for the content of recorded documents. This responsibility lies with the preparer. This means the county does not vouch for the underlying truth of the claims written in a deed. Therefore, you should always verify information independently. For binding legal assurance, complex inquiries, or protecting yourself against hidden defects like forged signatures or undisclosed errors, always consult with real estate attorneys and rely on professional title insurance. Now that you have the tools, the rules, and the treasure map to navigate the Consolidated Real Property Index, you really have the power to take control of your real estate knowledge. So the only question left for you is, what fascinating history or maybe vital legal information will you discover when you go search your own parcel today? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy researching.